Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong. It's your boy George Reister in the building. Thank you guys for your time, for your energy today. We appreciate it. We got a couple really good things to talk about regarding the Hall of Fame players. NFL Hall of Fame players sent a letter to Roger Goodell saying that they will not be attending any of the festivities and ceremonies at Canton until they get their demands met. So that's where we're at there. And then also we're going to go over the Pac-12 power rankings. As usual, send in your comments to Unafraid Show. Go to unafraidshow.com. And also you can send in any of your comments, how you feel, whatever, to I'm mad at unafraidshow.com. I had to change the email. That's why we got a little fumbled up about it right there. So I want to start with the NFL and the players who are sent the letter to Roger Goodell. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just going to give you the highlights. So it's Eric Dickerson, who's the chairman of the Hall of Fame board. You got Marcus Allen, Mel Blount, Derek Brooks, Jim Brown, Earl Campbell, Richard Dent, Carl Ellard, Marshall Faulk, Mike Haynes, Ricky Jackson, Ronnie Lott, Curtis Martin, Joe Namath, Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders, Bruce Smith, blah, blah, blah. Got a whole bunch of people on this letter. And the letter essentially says that the players, that the Hall of Fame players, that they were essential and crucial to making the league what it is now. And they didn't get a chance to make money like the young cats are making now. And they want two things. They want to share the league revenue. So 40 cents for every $1,000. And they also want lifetime health insurance. Okay. So in my initial comments about it is, okay, so how are they going to go about achieving their goal? How they plan on achieving their goal is by essentially boycotting the Hall of Fame ceremonies. Any event that's at the Hall of Fame, yes, they want their players there. They get a chance to market it. But the NFL wants to, but they're not going to show up. So, and these are a lot of the big name guys. So, and I said on Twitter today, I was like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. But this is a boycott that is not going to be effective. It's not going to be effective. Only because the NFL, what they're going to do to circumvent this is the fact that they are going to take players who are Hall of Fame players who aren't as established, because these guys that I named, all of those guys are working. They have appearances. They either have TV jobs. They, like these are well-known people who are doing well. That's not the case for all the Hall of Fame players. So the NFL is going to shell out some money to those guys. Give them $50,000, $100,000 just to show up. Because it's going to cost them less for that than to give them health insurance. So is this a baseless claim? No, it's not a baseless claim, because the MLB, they give their athletes health care. You don't even have to be a Hall of Fame player. And I know that there are going to be a lot of NFL players who are a little bit upset about this. But the reality is that the Hall of Fame players, it's just a step in the right direction, because players all do need health insurance. Because the reality of it is, you're playing a game, you're getting beat up. Everybody doesn't make the multi-millions of dollars, and you need health care. And the main reason for this letter and boycott is that former players, according to Jerry Jones, hold no value. They hold very little value. And the guys see the contracts now, and they're like, yo, I'm better than Antonio Brown. I'm better than, Freeman, the running back. I'm better than these guys, but I didn't get paid like that. So it's a little bit of jealousy surrounding it. But the reality of it is this. The NFL owners, they will never agree to lifetime health insurance just because Hall of Famers won't show up in Canton. They'll pay other guys to show up. The only people who can get lifetime health insurance for NFL players are the current players, because the current players hold the power, because they're the people who are out there. If they don't show up, they are the people who affect ticket sales and money and all of that. And they got to include it in the CBA, which is the collective bargaining agreement, which will be up in 2020. Because it has to be one of the most important negotiating points of it. Because some of the things on my timeline were kind of interesting, because many people think that, oh, they're spoiled, they want health insurance, and a lot of other people want health insurance and all that. The reality of it is, especially these Hall of Fame players, a lot of them played in an era when there wasn't player safety. The NFL was covering up stuff with concussions and helmets, not taking care of the players, giving them dope, all of these things. And the league knew that these things were hurting players, but they didn't care. So you got to factor that into it too. And the other problem is that in past negotiations of the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL Players Association and the NFL, is that the current players have been like most young people out in the world. They have no foresight, and they don't prioritize long-term healthcare needs because they have no idea what they really are. So the players fight for more money instead of fighting for more benefits when they get done, because they don't realize the gravity of this. Like, they don't understand how much it costs to have a family and need health insurance and then have to pay for it. But everybody else does, who has to go out to the marketplace or pay for it through their work. They understand the astronomical price of healthcare. And here is why players don't understand that and don't really see it as a big need while they're playing. Because when you are an active player in the NFL, you see no medical bills, or you see very few. And the league covers your premiums for you, your wife, and your kids. So the only thing that you're seeing, and all of your stuff is going to be covered. So, but for your wife and your kids, all of their out of pocket is very low. So you're not even seeing the brunt of these bills. So they have no idea what's going on, and they have no idea. The current players can't foresee being a hurt 35-year-old man or 65-year-old man who needs a new hip, needs a new knee, and your NFL insurance has run out 5 years after you finish playing. And truth be told, the NFL is smart with that in terms of most players. Okay, so for 5 years, you keep your health insurance, the same insurance that you have when you're an active player. But you really don't start to feel the effects of the NFL until about 5 years after. Because that's when everything starts to get hurt. You're not working out quite as much. You don't get the same treatment. Because most players don't finish on their own. They don't choose to retire. So they're still working out. They're still trying to get back in the league. And that's why you don't feel the brunt of this pain until you're older. So there is a little bit of jealousy of the of the Hall of Fame players, of the young cats making so much money now, when they practiced more, they played harder, they had to play through injury. They did so much more, and they were a stepping stone to get everything to where they are now. But the reality of it is, they need the current players to see this as a benefit. And for the current players to see it as a benefit, it can't just be about the Hall of Fame players. Because 1% of all NFL players go to the Hall of Fame. So 1% of them should have lifetime medical health insurance? No, that doesn't make sense. So, and you know, the league under no circumstances will be giving out part of the revenue to Hall of Fame players. It just will not be happening. But I do believe that a lifetime medical insurance is attainable. I do believe that in and of itself is attainable. And that needs to be something that they are currently pursuing, and making sure that they are doing things with the current players to make that happen. So I totally agree with that part of it. Now, we are going to get on to the Pac-12 Power Rankings. Pac-12 Power Rankings are one of my favorite things. They come out on unafraidshow.com every Tuesday morning. They're out first thing in the morning when you get up. That in the Big Ten rankings as well. It's one of my favorite things because, yes, I'm a Pac-12 fan. I played in the Pac-12, know a lot about it. But this year in particular is very interesting because the site just got launched. And thank you guys for sharing and hopping in and being a part of this thing. Because the power rankings, just like the top 10 rankings I do on Saturday nights, they're based on three things: quality wins, the schedule that you play, and the dominance that you show. So there's no bias in here. There's no bias toward my Oregon Ducks. There's not any bias against away from Washington. They just are what they are. The Pac-12 rankings just are what they are. We got at number 12, UCLA. This team is bad. Like, I predicted them to go 5-7, maybe 6-6. But with no offensive line, like, they are holding down the number 12 spot for Oregon State, keeping the seat warm until Oregon State wants it back. But they're holding on to it with a vice grip. UCLA, they've lost to Fresno State. They've lost to Cincinnati, who's worse than Fresno State. And they lost to Oklahoma, which we all knew because Oklahoma is one of the best teams in the country. But I'll tell you this, like, the Bruins' offense is just absolutely abysmal because their offensive line is bad. Their true freshman quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's got a shot. I'm telling you, the kid has some special moments. But he's not being protected, and UCLA cannot run the ball, which makes it increasingly difficult for him to do his job. Number 11, Arizona. Arizona just beat Southern Utah this week, 62-31, and they got their first win. I mean, like, they played Southern Utah like they should win, right? But Arizona has just been playing poorly. Khalil Tate did finally have a good game. He threw for over 300 yards. I think he threw 5 touchdowns. But the reality is that until Arizona gets his legs going, they're not going to go anywhere. Like, they have no shot in the Pac-12 South, even though they have not played a conference game. So technically, they can still win the Pac-12 South. But the way they're playing right now, not happening. No way, no how, not even with USC playing how they're playing. But this week they play against Oregon State. Oregon State is the number 10 team in the Pac-12 Power Rankings. They're 1-2 right now. They just lost to Nevada. And they lost 37-35. And if you saw any of that game, particularly the end, Oregon State mounted a huge comeback, came down to a field goal, and they lost. They lost on a field goal. Dude, do you realize how, like, heartbreaking that is to lose the game on a field goal when you have done all this work? I don't think there's anything in sports worse than to come all the way back and lose. Really. There's nothing worse than to come all the way back from a huge deficit and then lose. And that's what Oregon State did. Heartbreaker to Nevada. They got a chance to get a Pac-12 win this year against Arizona. We'll see how that goes. Number 9. The number 9 team, I did not expect to be at number 9 at any point in time this year, and that's USC. They are 1-2. They just got absolutely drowned, taken out behind the woodshed, got their asses whooped by USC. I'm sorry, by Texas. Like, the loss was ugly. The loss was absolutely ugly because they were held to minus 5 yards rushing. How in the hell does USC have all these 4- and 5-star recruits all over the board, and you finish with minus 5 yards rushing? Man, hell to the no. I had to quote my man Ryan Abraham of USCFootball.com. He said, when you lose badly, like they did against Stanford, and you don't change anything, you are likely to lose badly again. But there is a good bright note for USC, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown, their wide receiver, their true freshman. Kid is nice. Woo-hoo-hoo. He's going to be a problem if they ever get their offensive line and quarterback play together. Number 8, Washington State. 3-0, just beat Eastern Washington. Truth be told, we don't know much about Washington State. Like they haven't played anybody. They've been playing the Sisters of the Poor, the deaf and blind school. That's what we got on Washington State. So I'm not even going to act like I've been watching them play, because I have not. There have been much better games to watch than that. Number 7, Utah. Utah is 2-1. While I believe that Utah is a good team, they have a problem. And I was right last week, and I would like a little bit of credit for being right. Because under no circumstances should Utah have a defense this good. They have a quarterback come back who is electric, and they cannot score points. They lost to Washington 21-7. They turned the ball over a bunch of times. The only reason why they didn't get absolutely demolished is because their defense is so good. I mean, I don't even understand. Like it is so frustrating watching Utah, because year in and year out, their offense stinks. I mean, like, I have not seen a year that Utah's been in the Pac-12 that they have had an offense that can ring up 30-some points against, average competition. It's just not normal. Like, those are not typical results for Utah. And that's what's keeping them from being able to be a real Pac-12 contender to win the championship in the Pac-12. That's what is the biggest thing that's stopping them at this point in time. Number 6, Arizona State. Arizona State played against San Diego State. That was a trap game. Because if you saw San Diego State play Stanford, and then know that San Diego State beat Stanford last year at Stanford's game. San Diego State they're like Stanford light. They run the football, they line up, and they're physical, and they just run it at you until you stop it. And them boys from Arizona State, when the third and fourth quarter came, it was like San Diego State was just leaning on them, and they eventually broke. But then Arizona State came back. And they had a heartbreaking loss too. Because how does it fare? Because I know I'm being the fair police right now, and I normally hate the fair police. But the Arizona State wide receiver catches the ball on the 2-yard line. He gets targeted. The ball kind of bounces on the ground just a little bit, and then he secures it. But it was a targeting penalty. And then, so no catch, which he clearly would have caught had it not been targeted. And then the ball goes back, gets 15 yards with 6 seconds left, instead of being on the 2 with 6 seconds left. That sucks. But these are the breaks in football, I guess. For Arizona State to move up, though, like, you're going to have to see more of Manny Wilkins to N'Keal Harry. Manny hasn't played exceptionally well this year, their quarterback. And if he steps up his game, then we're all going to be looking at Herm Edwards as coach of the year in the Pac-12. Because nobody expected this. Everybody thought the old man was washed up, finished, because he hadn't coached he hadn't coached since one of my kids was alive. Oregon at number 5. That was an ugly win against San Jose State. We talked about that already, but this game this week with game day coming up to Eugene is the biggest game for the Oregon Ducks since the national championship against Ohio State. Why is that? Have you seen what happened after that? The year after the Ohio State game, they go to they went to the Alamo Bowl. Yeah, they went to the Alamo Bowl after that. And they won that game. And then they played against TCU in a bowl game and were up like 30 points at halftime and lost. Then the next season after that, I think they went 4-8. That was when Helfrich got fired. And then Willie Taggart comes. Everybody's excited. Herbert gets hurt. We know what happens after that. Taggart leaves, goes to Florida State. Now, Oregon is in a position to where everybody's wondering, are they back? Are they ever going to be back? Is the magic over? Was it just with Chip? After 4 seasons of down, this is a big moment. I don't think Oregon is nearly as good as they're going to be a year or two from now. But if you can beat a team like Stanford, who I believe and I have ranked in the top 10 teams in the country, if you can beat Stanford, then you can compete with anybody. Except Alabama right now because they're just too tough. And it's not just Oregon. Nobody compete with Alabama. So Justin Herbert is going to need to live up to the hype in the game against Stanford for them to win. Number 4, Cal at 3-0. What? How is this possible? My former teammate Justin Wilcox is a sage and a miracle worker. The fact that he's got these dudes who were the worst defense in the entire Pac-12 in the country in 2016, playing good football and leading the nation in interceptions is absolutely incredible. Nobody could possibly have foreseen this at all. But you know what? Good job, Justin Wilcox. Good job, sir. Appreciate that. He is turned Cal from just a team that is a doormat in the Pac-12 to a team that you better come to play. Because if you get to playing around with these boys from Cal, you will take an L. Promise you that. Because they are not playing around. They are playing hard. They're playing fast. They're playing strong. Yeah, they are playing very good. I'm also at number 4. At number 3, we got Colorado. Colorado played New Hampshire. They didn't have a hangover after their emotional win at Nebraska, and they have a bye this week. So, I'll admit that I had to Google New Hampshire's mascot because it's a Wildcats and I didn't know. And I do not expect Colorado to stay this high in the Pac-12 power rankings. However, like I said, it is based on 3 crucial criteria. It is quality wins, schedule played, and dominance. And they've been dominant, and they have a quality win over Nebraska right now. So Colorado sits at number 3 until Oregon plays somebody. That's what it is. Or until Cal gets another good win. I mean, that's where it's gonna be. I don't expect them to stay there because I think that they are short on talent. But their wideout, Laviska Shenault, kid's a beast. I like him. Number 2, the Fuskies are at number 2. They're sitting at 2-1. And I know a lot of people probably feel like I'm picking on Jake Browning at this time. However, he's the only reason that Washington is not a threat to win the national championship. He's the only reason. Their defense, I believe, is the second best defense in the country behind Alabama. But they have trouble playing against, he has trouble, and their offense has trouble against good quality competition on defense. And I know that everybody has a little bit of a step down when you're playing against tough defenses. But you should occasionally torch a good defense if you're a good quarterback. Occasionally. And always play above average if you are a top-tier quarterback. But we have not seen that from Jake Browning his entire career so far. Number 1, same team as last week, Stanford. I believe in this team. They took care of business with UC Davis. Started out slow. They didn't have Bryce Love. Because I believe in KJ Costello. I do. I think the kid... I think this Stanford offense is every bit as good as they were when Andrew Luck was there if they allow KJ Costello to sling the rock. If they try to go up to Eugene and run the football 40 times, they're going to lose. If they let KJ Costello sling it, they got a shot. I'm telling you, that's how it's going to work. And the winner of the Oregon-Stanford game is going to win the Pac-12. They're going to win the Pac-12 because the South is just not where it's at right now. Because when you look at the South, you got two of the worst teams in the Pac-12 in UCLA and Arizona. USC's not playing well. Utah didn't look good. Arizona State literally looks, Arizona State or Colorado looks to be the best team in the Pac-12 South right now. Nobody could have predicted that. But facts are facts. We cannot ignore the facts. I wanted to go back real quick to the NFL, to the NFL Hall of Famers. If anybody missed what I was talking about the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Famers and them wanting lifetime health insurance, it's reasonable. It is very, very reasonable for them to want that. However, it's not reasonable for them to expect it just for themselves. Because what I would have liked to seen in their statement is that their goal is to get lifetime health insurance for all players. That we can start with us, but then make sure we get it for all players. Because the reality is only 1% goes to the Hall of Fame. I mean, and the NFL is not just going to give it up just because they don't show up at a Hall of Fame ceremony. They're not going to do it. They'll pay some other Hall of Famers $50,000, $100,000 just to show up, to break the picket line. And guess what? Some of them will. Because money talks. Money talks to them. So the current players have to have more foresight in knowing that at some point in time in the near future, they will to themselves be a former player. And you're going to be a beat up, hurt old man. And people don't think about it. Okay, I'll give you an example. My family, because me and my wife are both self-employed, we have to pay for our health insurance like so many of you other people do out in the world. We're paying like other people for a PPO over what, 14, almost $1,500 a month for a PPO, so we can go to some of the best doctors, all of that, be able to do it without the hassle and all that stuff of an HMO. That's expensive. That's what, $17,000 a year? $17,000 a year. Think about that over the course of 5 years, 10 years, almost 200 grand, and it's probably going to continue to go up. And the former players aren't thinking about that. I'm sorry, the current players aren't thinking about that because they don't have that same struggle, and they're like, oh, I'll be fine. But truth be told, that quote that I heard when I was younger, and I didn't believe it was true. I didn't understand it, which was youth is wasted on the young. And that's what it is. Youth is wasted on the young. And hopefully the former players, they will never get a piece of the revenue like they're asking for. The owners will never, under any circumstances, give that up. That'll never happen. But you know what they can do? They can secure health insurance for everybody. They can. The current players can do that. The former players have no value. Jerry Jones told you that. You have no value to the teams because you aren't out there on the field. They parade you around every now and then. You're like the garnish. Former players are the garnish on the teams. They're the garnish on the salad. They're the garnish on the smoked salmon. They aren't the act. You can do without the garnish. If people know what the dish tastes like, if the dish still tastes good, they'll do without the garnish, even though it makes it look a little better. But you can live without the garnish. So hopefully the players and the current players realize that, and they fight for that when the new CBA is up in 2020. Well, when the current CBA is up in 2020. They got to fight for that if they want it. That, more guaranteed years on contracts, which, yes, that will mean the current owners, that the owners will need to rework the salary cap, but that's billionaire problems. Millionaires can't worry about billionaire problems. They'll figure it out. Thank you guys for joining me today on Unafraid Show. Please make sure you go to unafraidshow.com, like the feed, share the feed, tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. The Unafraid Show is popping. And we will be covering everything during all year round, football season, basketball season, baseball season, all the hottest topics, and so much stuff in the business of sports, where we talk about the NCAA and the case that's going on right now, where we detailed what happened with Nike, Kaepernick, and the NFL. We've detailed so many other things on unafraidshow.com, man. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Send your emails to I'mMad@unafraidshow.com. Peace out. Catch you guys tomorrow.